Let's be honest, tactical belts used to be the standard for every tactical shooter, but I think their time is slowly but surely coming to an end. Now, it's not to say that they're being completely phased out and that there's not a use case for them, but I think you can find a plethora of information online for other equipment that might be better, whether it means it's more lighter, more modular, or it just allows you to carry more things. Anyone who's tried to put a battle belt on and then ruck around or put on a load-bearing vest knows that oftentimes your belt just gets in the way. In this video, I'm not really gonna be talking about that side of things, but I think it's a good point because unless you're really in a situation where a battle belt is something that you want or need, say maybe CQB scenarios, competition shooting, and I'm sure there's others, maybe getting a battle belt really isn't the right move for you. If you're new here, my name is Justin Jackson. I'm a former Special Forces Green Beret, and I have a ton of experience wearing battle belts. In fact, this is the battle belt that I wore for plenty of years while I was serving, as well as the belt that I wear now during competition shooting and with my current job. I've gotten a ton of use out of this belt, and so I am excited to share with you guys what I have on it. I don't think it's going to be anything very different from what you see, but because this has been such a highly requested video on this channel, I gotta make it. I do think even though pretty much everyone's belts are set up pretty similar, there are different companies out there that make good items, some that make bad items, and so people do want to know what you have on your belt and what brands you're using as they look to purchase, something that they potentially might use. The way we're going to do this is we're going to just start with the belt itself and its brand, and then we're going to work our way clockwise around the belt and just talk about the products I have on here and why I chose them and if they've held up or not. So to start off with the belt itself, this is a Ronin Tactics belt or Ronin Tactical, I don't know. I literally bought this belt like 8 years ago. So when I purchased this belt, I literally had no clue about belts, about a lot of brands out there. I just reached out to a friend of mine who had been in a lot longer than me and served in other SOF units and basically said, hey bro, what belt should I buy? And this is the one he directed me to. I've really had zero problems with this belt. Like I said, it's held up over 8 years, a deployment, lots of training, and now it's the same belt that I use during competitive shooting and really have nothing bad to say about it. If I remember correctly, I think the belt was like $200, which just seems really overpriced to me. At the end of the day, it's done everything I've needed it to. I will say that having these big, large Cobra buckles, I think doesn't really make a ton of sense. My understanding is that these Cobra buckles are mainly here so that if you're, say, clipping into something like a helicopter, you have this nice little big metal loop. If you're not doing that, or you're using this for a civilian use case, like why pay all this extra money for a Cobra buckle when you could just use something else, or even just get the smaller version of the Cobra buckle that doesn't have that loop attached to it. I don't know, maybe I'm just spitting words out here, but my understanding is that's one of the reasons why a lot of these belts are so expensive is because of the buckle itself. This isn't actually the inner belt that came with the belt itself. This is a 2-inch belt. One of the things you'll run into is there's a lot of, whether it's blue jeans or other pairs of pants, like Fjallraven is one that is pretty notorious for it. They can't support a 2-inch inner belt. So this one is a 1.5-inch inner belt that I just got off of like Amazon, I think. And I usually run this when I'm wearing the belt because it just means I don't have to worry about, putting on some like tactical pants. As we move over clockwise down, we have my holster and then what I actually mount the holster on. The holster itself is a T-Rex Arms holster. I think it's their Ragnarok. I got this holster about a month before all of the drama happened at T-Rex Arms. It is the first T-Rex Arms holster I've ever got, and I really have no complaints about it. It does not have any level of retention on the holster. It is just the Kydex itself. And then what I have it mounted on is this True North Concepts, I guess, drop down. I don't know what the official name of it is, but if you go on their website, it's super easy to find. And then I have the Safariland QLS, the female right here, and then the male fork end right here. And then attached to the bottom of that, I also have this, again, I think you can find that on True North Concepts, just this little dude lingerie, so you can wrap the holster attachment on your leg so that as you're moving around, your holster isn't flopping all over the place. I actually think things like this are super nice. Having something really rigid holding your holster in place is really important, as well as having something that allows you to adjust where that holster is sitting on your hip or on your leg. If you have your holster too high, you're gonna have to really move your arm and your body up like this in order to do your draw. But if you have your holster too low, you're gonna have to really reach down, and you want to eliminate as much of that movement as possible. Another nice thing that this True North Concepts allows you to do is add a little bit of angle to how your holster sits, which can be nice if you're trying to maybe speed up your draw a little bit. On paper, I don't know on paper how much that really could potentially speed up your draw, but it could be nice if you like that. Out of all the things on this belt, this is really a system that I would consistently like to use. It's nice, it's firm. The QLS stuff allows me to switch out different holsters if I'm using different guns. I think that this setup is just really nice. As we move to the back, I've got a little fixed blade knife back here. This is a Stroop Knives Mini, I think is what it's called. I spent years while I was in the military trying to find a good belt knife. And basically what I considered to be a good belt knife was, one, it had to be fixed blade. I wanted it to be able to, you know, take a beating. The next thing I wanted was for it to not be a very big knife. I don't want it to get in the way. I wanted it to be something that, you know, I could put on the belt somewhere and I wouldn't really have to worry about it. And the last thing that I wanted was, I didn't want it to be a super expensive knife. I don't have a knife on my belt as like a tertiary weapon system. It's not like my rifle goes down, I draw my pistol, oh crap, I pull my knife out now and I go and charge the line. This is more of just here for utility. And that's why I want it to be fixed blade. That's why I don't want it to be expensive. I want it to be something I can just pull out. I can freaking open up my Amazon boxes as I'm doing my dry fire downstairs, deployed or in the field or at a training. You always need a freaking knife. And so I wanted something that could kind of fit all that criteria, and this knife was freaking awesome for it. Big fan of it. To be honest, I'm not a super big fan of the location of the knife. I've kind of just been too lazy to move everything around on my belt, but the location isn't bad. It doesn't get in the way of my draw, which you would think it does because it kind of sits there, but when I'm actually wearing the belt, it sits more like this. So as you can see, like I have plenty of clearance and it's not getting in the way of my draw at all. I've never felt the knife anywhere. And when I'm sitting in a vehicle or something like this, it's actually my med pouch that's on my back. I don't even notice the knife where it is. So if it was me, I'd probably prefer to have it somewhere up front just so it's a little bit easier to access, but I can grab it perfectly fine here. I can put it back perfectly fine. I don't have to worry about, you know, really where it sits. As we move on farther back, I have my med pouch. I'm not gonna open it up and show you guys what I have inside because it's top secret. No, actually, I'm just not gonna open it up and show you guys what's inside because my former medic would probably kill me. The company that makes this med pouch is Wilder Tactical. I don't really have a preference for med pouches. I've used like 4 or 5 just because sometimes your medic is going to have a specific one they want you to use if they want the whole team to be universal in terms of what med pouch they're using and what's in it. Other times you might have the option to pick what you want. Just get something that can hold the bare minimum of what you need. Another big thing with a med pouch is you need to be able to access it because this med pouch is for you. It's not for other people necessarily. If you find that where you have it located or the type of med pouch you have is super hard to get into or you can't access stuff from it, then you might want to think about trying a different med pouch. This one is actually a pain in the butt to get into because this Velcro is freaking strong. All right, moving on to my magazine carriers or my magazine pouches. I have here Kiwi pouches. The reason I like them is because they are Kydex, and so they pinch on my magazines really nice, and my magazines don't come out. Well, they started to slip out there, but Had it upside down, I was violently shaking it. Give Kiwi a break. These things are also 8 years old, like I said. I've never replaced them, I've never cleaned them, I've never done anything to them, and they've worked freaking awesome. These are the medium height Kiwi mags, so when you put a magazine in them, they're not so far down that I'm nervous about my magazines falling out, but they're not so high up that it makes it a little bit harder to grab my magazines. I don't really think these are the best for competition, but I think for a combat belt, this is kind of a perfect in between, and I've really enjoyed them. That is really it for the belt, guys. Nothing crazy. I'm not here to tell you that this is the way. I'm not here to tell you that this is the best option. I just got a ton of requests asking what I use, and this is what I use. If I were to do it all over again, I probably wouldn't get a Ronin belt. I think there's other companies out there making better belts that are a little bit more lightweight, a little thinner, a little more rigid. Companies like Faro Concepts, even GBRS Group, I think has a pretty good belt. I think as well, if I were to do my mag pouches again, I would get some that would allow me to angle the mags. I think one of the benefits to having angled mags is that it kind of keeps everything out of the way of your plate carrier or your vest. With having the mag sitting straight upright like this, a lot of times if you're a sit down or bend over, you'll notice that your plates or your gear or whatever it is can kind of get caught on this and it gets a little uncomfortable. Whereas I think if you angle them down, they sit a little nicer. If you guys got any value out of this video, go ahead, hit the like button, subscribe. I got a ton of new stuff coming out in 2026 that I'm really excited to share with you guys. If you guys didn't get any value out of this video and you hate this belt and everything I have on it, put it in the comments below and tear me apart. That being said, guys, I appreciate you watching, and I will catch you next week.